Lyanna, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Jerry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have 9 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Was the meeting properly noticed?
Yes, it was.
Okay, clerk will take roll, please.
All members are present with Jerry Paler online.
Okay, we have the agenda before us. Would a motion to approve by Supervisor Gabarsky, second by Supervisor Edwards. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. Agenda is approved. We have the minutes from February 7th. Do I have a motion to approve? Supervisor Pease, second by Supervisor Edwards. Discussion or question on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, minutes are approved. We'll allow public participation as we go through. So project status report is the first item on the agenda. It's attached to the thing. Is there any questions? Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to economic development. Derek's here? Yep. Yep, you can use.
There's a section in the report where I put a link to the Wisconsin Counties magazine for this month, where they have an article on a new homestead credit program that we're doing. I just wanted to add that that program was just nominated by Wisconsin Rural Partners, which is completely separate of the Rural Partners Network that we're involved with through the USDA. But that program was nominated for a 2025 Top Rural Development Initiative Award. So that's kind of neat. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Supervisor Edwards?
Mr. Chair, I have no questions or anything. I just wanted to say I looked at your new website and it looks good. Good job, Derek.
Oh, thank you. We'll keep updating it too. Thank you, though.
Any questions for Derek? Okay. Thanks, Derek. Next, we have the treasurer's report.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to say the timeliness of receiving this, I have a problem with. I saw it just before I left to come to this meeting, but looking at it, I wonder, can the finance director, Kyle, explain, excuse me, why there was such a loss in Prevail?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
in Prevail says 9.27 million on the treasurer's report.
Mr. Chair?
Oh.
I think
Excuse me, I meant
PMA
the
looks.
PMA investments. Sorry.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
on the report, it says 1 million. I believe it should be closer to $10 million for PMA. If we look at the last one from January, the one from January, there was $10 million for PMA.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, treasurer.
As you know, I was in a training meeting 2 days this week. We don't have access to the PMA or to all of the information typically until the 4th. I did send a copy of this to Kyle with what had been completed and what I had access to before I left for that meeting. And, you know, I'd have to go back and look at the PMA investments document that I used, but I did download it. So if there's an error, I will absolutely work with Kyle to get this updated. I completed it when I came back from the meeting yesterday, submitted it yesterday to be shared. And I will also tell you that I have had no training on pulling any of the documents from Prevail or PMA. I am very familiar with using banking reports, but I still believe that, you know, the proper thing would have been to have some training and background on how we pull this information.
And I would think that Ms. Meinhardt could help you with that if you ask her.
Agreed, Mr. Chair. I have asked Ms. Meinhardt. She is just getting into the busy part of her season. And again, I was out of the office 2 days this week and did lean on the finance director for review when I sent him this week.
Okay. Well, you can update that at some time and make sure it's corrected, so.
Yeah, could you scroll so that we could see the top? Because when I looked at it, okay, yeah, I noticed it said November 2024 and I wasn't sure if that was correct.
The information is from this month. I will update that to be February as well.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If nothing else, we'll move on to IT. Rich isn't here. He's not going to be here today. So I guess if there's any questions, you can pass them on or. Human Resources, the Human Resource Director is on vacation this week. She was hoping to get something loaded up, but she's not having. It's harder to do when she's out of the state and trying to do that. So she said she would make sure she has the report out there, both reports out there next month. So County Clerk.
Any questions on my report?
Supervisor Kubarski and then Supervisor Pease.
Lana, that, I don't know if that was on your report. I read somewhere where we had, up a little higher, if you don't mind. No, it might have been Nancy's report. I'm not sure. But anyway, there was a lawsuit pending all 72 counties.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
was that
not
yours?
Nancy's.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
okay,
Sorry.
Supervisor Pease.
Any hiccups with the election this time for the primary?
No, everything seemed to go well.
Good job, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, then we'll move on to Corp Counsel. And if you want to answer Supervisor Kubarski's question right away. So.
Sure. So that is a class action. I'm not sure if you're aware of a Supreme Court case. It was Hennepin, Tyler versus Hennepin County, I believe. And like Wisconsin, Minnesota was keeping surplus funds when they did in-rem tax foreclosures. And the Supreme Court ruled that that was an unconstitutional taking. So this lawsuit is asking that all 72 counties plus the city of Milwaukee return all surplus funds from 1975 through the present time. It's just been filed, so I know Andy Phillips is going to be talking with the two major insurers, and then there's a couple of one or two counties are self-insured, and then there's a smaller insurance company to try to coordinate a defense. At this point, it's so new, I hate to even give you a prediction, but I'll do it anyway. I don't think the court will find that we need to return 40 years worth of surplus funds, but I do think that they'll probably, they'll find some reasonable limit, whether that's 6 years or 10 years or whatever. And I don't know at this time to what extent our insurance will cover that. I mean, we were following the state statute, so, but that didn't matter in the Minnesota case. Sure.
Supervisor Pease.
We haven't had litigation or claims on here for quite a while. Could you kind of go over the 3 claims and the other 3 litigations, as much as you can? I know you can't say everything, but could you kind of tell us what's going on with those things?
Sure. And that's a section that I added this month. And so, let me know if you want it on there every month or what your thoughts are. But okay, the first one is the opioid case that is still chugging along. There is an update that I registered for with WCA. Can't remember, I want to say it's April 1st or April 7th. So I'll know more after that update. The second one is basically our Board of Adjustment denied a conditional use permit, and the petitioner appealed to the circuit court. The circuit court didn't disagree with the Board of Adjustment, didn't tell them that they had to change their decision, but said that they hadn't given specific enough reasons. So it's remanded to the Board of Adjustment, and we're meeting in April, I think, for them to basically decide if they want to stick with the same decision or not. And then if they do want to, no, I'm sorry, they can't change their mind. They have to stick with the same decision at this point. So what they'll be doing is just trying to elaborate their reasoning more thoroughly. The third one, I can't say much about because, as you can see, the plaintiff is Pat Rowe. I will say it's an open records violation having to do with a deadline. It happened when Jeff was here. There was I think it was a 10-day deadline, and he just miscounted by 1 day. That has been fully briefed, and we're waiting for the judge's decision. Judges by law have 90 days to get their decisions out. It's been about 120 days. So I did reach out to Matt Thome, who's handling the case for us, and asked him if he thought we could nudge the judge and try to get a decision. Okay, the next one is a person who was incarcerated. I'm trying to remember, I did read this complaint, but I think he sustained a hand injury. It wasn't anything, severe, but he did sustain an injury, and he's claiming that it wasn't handled properly or something like that. So that one, the insurance company has assigned a defense attorney. And again, it's pretty new, so I can't really tell you any more than that in terms of how it's going. And then the last one we just talked about. Oh yeah, the claims, sorry. Okay, the first one, I just got this little postcard from AFNI saying that they were making a subrogation claim. So I don't really have a lot of information about that. The second one is someone who I believe has a hangar at the airport and is alleging that one of our maintenance implements, a mower or something like that, damaged his hangar. And that one has been denied by our insurer, but State Farm hasn't put in an official claim yet. So State Farm is his insurer. They've paid him out, and now they would like to be reimbursed, but they haven't made an official claim yet. So I don't plan to do anything until they do. And then the Frontier one, they're just claiming that there was some damage to one of their cables. And again, they're not listing an amount, but I don't think it's going to be a very high dollar amount.
Thank you.
Sure. The other thing I did want to mention is at the bottom of my report, I say that Atoles is still handling 10 matters. I did review all of those matters last week, just to see where they're at. Unfortunately, none of them can be closed yet. A lot of them are just kind of hanging on, like that Pat Rowe case where there's nothing actively happening, but we can't close it out yet. The one thing that hopefully will be done soon is the negotiation with the deputies union. That should be, I would expect that will be finalized by next month.
And our previous contract went through the end of the year, right?
The union contract.
Yeah, okay. Okay. We'll move on then, Finance Director.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
were there any questions on my report?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have only one question. I don't know if it's in your report or anything, but I was just wondering, how are the tariffs going to affect our vehicle purchase costs? Or don't you have any idea yet?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'm not sure at this point how it's going to impact it. I haven't heard anything from AF Motors other than the vehicles should be in production soon, or I think one of them is in production this month, but the Equinoxes should be in production in the summer.
Okay. Does that answer your question? I guess if we hear anything, I mean, if they're gonna be different, I mean, and over budget, we'll probably
Mr.
be
Chair,
made aware of that, so.
yeah,
yes.
to add to that, AF Motors did communicate that the vehicles should come in under the amount that we budgeted.
Okay. Any updates on the ARPA funding at all? No. Okay. County Administrators Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning. Let's start out with we have a plethora of accolades this month. Marilyn Rogers is recognized by American Tissue Services Foundation. There may be an official presentation at the board meeting, but I'm still trying to organize that. So that may or may not happen. Heather Gayton, with Heather doing an exemplary job, she is contributing to the Land and Water Department, excelling and actually creating relationships within, the statewide and national groups and partners. Kyle Patterson is responsible for the county receiving its first Governmental Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. And as noted in here, we're number 7 of the 72 counties that have actually achieved this status. Deputy Thomas Murphy received the DRE, which is Drug Recognition Experts Outstanding Performance Award. So make notation of that. And moving into the capital projects, phase 2. The project is halted until further direction is given to the task group 1 by the property committee with regard to concerns being raised about the cost of the project and the overall design. Fairground, there's a mobile stage unit being purchased. I provide an update on the highway projects. And there's an update on the splash pad project as well. There's an update on the butterfly garden at solid waste. The project is coming to fruition and even expanding in scope at this point. There's a huge interest in it. Okay, under happenings, we continue with a pretrial monitoring program consortium. I need to have internal meetings that will take place with the sheriff's office and the judges and maybe other personnel. We need to look at the feasibility of the program. It's a substantial cost. Even though we're sharing it, 4 ways, it's still $93,000 that we'd have to come up with. And so at this point, just looking at the feasibility of it. The personnel manual and the physical policy task groups are starting up again. It's a huge undertaking to get that all updated and accurate. Men's Night Out. This is new to the county, and it's a move by the public health officer, Cody Przybylski. I can't ever say his name right, but Cody. Animal control. So the sheriff initiated discussions expressing interest in ceasing having his patrol transport dogs to the Adams County Humane Society. There are a number of things to consider with this, and it's pretty expansive. What I'm trying to consider here, you know, what is the county's role and what's the impact on the stakeholders? And when I say stakeholders, I'm talking about the municipalities. The statutes read one way, but in the end, I think the county may be in the best position to hire or contract with an animal control officer. So more work to be done on that. And other than that, are there any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Kubarski.
Cynthia, I noticed that there was two different amounts when we talk about the price of animal control, 1,200 to 2,500, and then there was the other one up to 3,000. Why are there two different amounts there?
Didn't it say 30,000?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you take the 1,200 versus the 2,500 monthly equates to 30,000 a year. So there's just been a big jump is the point I was trying to make with that. So we have to kind of control our costs if we can, but perhaps we can't, you know, but so that is one of the other considerations as well.
Supervisor Edwards and then Supervisor Pease.
Mr. Chair, I have a question also on the animal control. Why is it decided or has it been decided that that position would be under planning and zoning?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
That's just a consideration. The sheriff had expressed interest that he does not want the animal control officer in his budget. He doesn't want any part of the Humane Society in his budget. So I'm just trying to get it in an area that does make sense. If we beef up our code enforcement, it does make sense for all of that to be housed in planning and zoning, but nothing's determined yet. These are just ideas I'm throwing out so that you're not surprised when and if that comes to fruition as well.
Supervisor Pease.
Going back to excuse me, the pretrial monitoring program. Are we going to work with 3 other counties then with this? It says, who do we split that money 4 ways with if we enter into that?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So yes, it'll be 3 other counties, and I believe that they would be contiguous counties, those, so the ones that are right next to us. I'm not sure on that, but it would make sense that it would be counties that are close to us. But this may, you know, judging from what discussions I've had in the past with the sheriff, we've had such a program before, but I don't know if it was successful. But anyway, just putting it out there to let you know that this is something that we're looking into.
All right, my second question.
Yes.
Is going back to the dog control, or animal control, I'm sorry. Would we continue funding the Humane Society and then possibly hire a animal control officer on top of that? Is that the kind of the plan right now? Because I'll tell you, if one of our people one of our sheriff deputies would be attacked like emergency room, that money could be eaten up in one night compared to having a animal control officer. So, I mean, I think it's probably a good thing to do. I'm just saying, are we going to pay for both then?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So where I'm leaning right now is the county may be able to afford this more than the municipalities, but we would continue with the 30,000 Humane Society. That's the intention in 2026 is to have that in the budget for 26 still. The other piece is the code enforcement. Right now we have a half-time code enforcement officer in planning and zoning that's focused on Quincy. So if we make that a full-time position, then the other half of the time would be dedicated for code enforcement related to, you know, dogs that are licensed. And in other words, being on the, being ahead of it instead of like waiting for neighbors to complain. We want to be ahead of it. And the other piece of that then is the animal control officer themselves. And again, so that won't be in the sheriff's budget. My plan is to have it work in the planning and zoning area. I don't know what that cost is. I don't know if there's a person we contract for the north portion of the county versus someone we contract for the southern the southern portion. So there's just a lot of things in the air right now. But I could tell you that most likely it's going to be on the county.
Okay. Supervisor Dozel?
Mr. Chair, it's not really about the county manager's report, but I haven't seen it yet. Rumor is that there are several fines from the DNR for solid waste. I didn't see it being talked about here in either corporate council or county manager or any of the updates. Is that something that this group will discuss, or is that something that will be in committee, or where would we expect to hear information about that?
I would assume it'd be in solid waste, in the solid waste committee.
Will that come to this group for review, or how is that typically handled?
I don't think we've ever heard any kind of unless there was litigation around it. Otherwise, any of the fines that have been, I've never had them come through here before.
Okay, is that something that, and again, I just don't know.
Yeah.
So is that something that I assume Kyle just pays, or how does that typically work for a fine or something like that?
I don't know.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
I haven't heard anything related to any fines with solid waste.
so.
Just
but
curious.
I don't know if we've had any in the past or,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I'm not aware of any either.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next meeting date? What? Well, yeah, next meeting date, and then we'll go into closed session. April 4th? No. How about like the 7th then? Well, that's the next week, the 7th. Yeah, I mean, no, that's the thing. I mean, the third Tuesday is the 15th, so I don't know if like today it really wouldn't matter because there's no action items.
Going to South Carolina.
Okay.
Well, we might just have to meet on the 4th then. If she's not gonna be back till the 13th, we can, yeah, we'll just have to meet on the 4th.
Yeah. What? Is the border of canvas not easy for you? Okay. The 7th?
That's fine.
7th. Supervisor Kubarski, Supervisor Paler,
What date are you talking about now? The 4th or the 7th?
the 7th.
That works for me.
I'll put it on.
Yeah, if you're able to join virtually. At 9 o'clock. Okay, otherwise, we'll go into closed session now. Let's see. I'd entertain a motion for the committee to convene in closed sessions per Wisconsin State Statute 1985, paren 1, paren C, for the purposes of considering employment, promotion, or compensation or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governing body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility to consider the contract for the county administrator.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Pease. Second by Supervisor Gabarski. Roll call vote. Supervisor Pease.
Yes.
Supervisor Edwards. Supervisor Gabarski. Supervisor West is a yes. So, okay, we're in closed session. So the clerk will, yeah, we're going to shut down the online. So there's no online attendance.
So this is